So good day, everybody. Today, my guest is Liam Boggan from quantmatics.com. So welcome to the Business Spotlight, Liam.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So tell our audience today who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it.
Well, I've been involved in financial markets for the goods of 30 years, right? So Quantmatics is a relatively new entity. So we're about to celebrate our third birthday with Quantmatics, but it's not a new idea, right? It's a new company pursuing a dream I've had for a very long time, right? And I suppose it is kind of culmination of the goods of 30 years of markets experience, right? And a journey where after college, I want to be a Wall Street kid kind of thing, right? Ended up as a portfolio manager, got lured to the dark side, became a broker working for like big international firms, ABN AMRO. I was like head of sales in ABN AMRO, worked between Dublin and London there. When I left ABN, I became head of research at Merion Stockbrokers, which was a really interesting experience, an uber fundamental shop. And I suppose it's worthwhile saying, when I was a portfolio manager, I was always the fundamental guy, but I got to recruit one of my best friends from college, a guy called Brian Gray, uh, and he was a technical analyst. So we combined market timing tools with fundamental research, and we absolutely outperformed the markets. But it was at a time where portfolio managers kind of didn't get paid. They get paid now, right? uh, so joined and then spent so 12 years on the broking side with ABN, then was with Merion again, which was a fascinating journey because while I was with Merion, shortly after I joined Merion, Landsbanki acquired Merion and Kepler Equities and Tether and Greenwood in the UK. So put together this big franchise, but of course, an Icelandic firm bought an Irish broker, and 2011 Iceland went bust, followed by Ireland. Uh, and that brought me to my next stage of my career, which is I joined State Street Global Markets in Canary Wharf, where they had, and again, this was kind of like the start of this journey. They had an equity research product which was based on kind of number crunching the custody flows. And they had intellectual tie-ups with the professors of behavioral finance in Harvard and MIT. And I suddenly realized that the relationships I had with this brand and this data-driven objective product was entirely different than what I can only describe as a kind of combative relationship that I had with clients before. I got on well with them, but they didn't really want to talk to me because they could talk. They had everybody tell them the same stuff, right? Here suddenly we had something which was new and interesting, and you were collaborating with people. Like the answers that you had sometimes didn't suit you or the client, but they wanted to know what it was, right? So I said regulation caused State Street to kind of run from selling data which they weren't sure if they owned, given it was their customers' flows. But I realized at the time that I thought this is a pretty fundamental piece of learning for me, right? That relationships have changed, have become much more sticky. And it was much more interesting to be having like a science as opposed to subjective approach. I kind of thought that was the wave of the future. I was probably ahead of my time in terms of like AI and machine learning and all that stuff. They were just like that maths guys knew about. I kind of bootstrapped that along the way until I ended up working for a broker called Tradition in London between 2018 and 2020. So basically through before and through COVID, we ended up we had a version of this product which essentially was like compared to where it is now, it's like a rusty child's bike, right? So there was like spreadsheets, loads of data, huge amounts of calculations, and it worked okay, but I was the only person who knew how to interpret
and tune it.
And it involved, of my week, I spent like 2 or 3 days preparing the data, all weekend writing up a report, and a couple of days doing Zoom calls with clients. And they eventually started saying to me, why are you doing this all the time? When can we have our own login? When can we do this stuff, right? So it became obvious.
So tell us a bit about what this platform actually does for your clients.
So Quantmatics is mouthful is like it's a market timing tool effectively. Like we cover all asset classes. We do equity indices, sectors, and single stocks all across the world. we do FX, fixed income, even do,
Mm-hmm.
right? And commodities. And so it is a big data, it's a big data project.
Right.
And
And it encompasses AI in within
and
it.
now it encompasses AI and,
Yeah.
and machine learning. So actually, what we started out to do in 2020 and where we are now are
Yeah.
just light years apart. And I suppose that's been one of the big lessons for us in terms of like just how fast your world changes, how your perspective changes, how and we have the privilege, we say to everybody, of kind of being a 2024 company without any legacy system. So we were able to
Yes.
start, we were lucky or very skillful to manage to surround ourselves with some computer coder developer guys who are absolute rock stars, and so our business is built in the cloud, runs on Microsoft Azure. We can turn up or down, the computing power. I mean, we kind of smiled a couple of months ago when we saw that Citadel, which is one of the huge, big
Mm-hmm.
hedge funds, that they were moving to the cloud. And we're going, well, we're already there, right? We
Yeah. Yeah.
like right now. So we are in the process of, I suppose, like rapidly evolving our business strategy as we learn what'll sell, what won't sell, and to who.
Mm-hmm.
But uh, it has helped us, just move very fast. So like I said, our platform, we're now starting to try and sell subscriptions to users. We have spent a last couple of years trying to sell to very large institutions. That's a pretty tough thing to do, even though
I was going to ask you that as to who are your main target offerings? Is it to individuals who want to invest using your platform, or is it to the larger institutions?
I'll frankly tell you that my background has been selling to very large institutions and
Yeah.
have pretty good relationships, as does Paul Chu, who is my sort of co-founder.
Okay.
Ultimately, as we have learned, and again, this is a real learning lesson, right?
Mm-hmm.
People told us, but we didn't believe them at the start, right? Is that if you, no matter how ambitious you are as a small company, you cannot make a large entity dance to your tune on your timeline, right? And guys that we know who have asked us to tweak the product and stuff like this, after months, you ask them to pay, and they go, "Oh, I've got to take it to my boss now," and then there's
Yeah.
a file process. So
Mm-hmm.
where we've got to now is that we are literally about to launch a new version of the product, which we've got, so we can bundle it. Up to now, it was you got everything. Now you'll be able to buy US equities, European equities, buy crypto, buy packages, and bundle it. And we are looking to target, I suppose, smaller institutions, family offices, and sophisticated high net worth professional investors, of which there's a huge audience. And I think people, and also what's really changed for us is that we were lucky enough to be able to raise money earlier this year, right? So
Okay.
like that seed funding that allowed us to bring in a data science team. And again, they have been rock stars. So they, within the algorithm that myself and John Mulligan, who is the kind of
Mm-hmm.
first employee, now one of the founding partners, right? John came on board like 3 months after we set up the business. We have an algorithm. It works very well, but within the algorithm, there were signals that were particularly strong. But it
Okay.
took our new data science team to uncover the
The
one
value. Mm-hmm.
within it. So we're
Mm-hmm.
now in a position where, like, we have the data, we can show people that it works. We can show people
Mm-hmm.
that strategies trading our signals can outperform major markets. That's a bit of revelation in terms of for us, because we never thought we'd get there, right? Well,
Yeah.
we kind of aspired to maybe get there, but we didn't think that we could do this within the time frame that we have done it. So
So you're currently based in Dublin, so you'd have aspirations that this could be a global offering, presumably.
yeah, so I mean, I was in London for the last couple of days.
Okay.
But essentially, like Dublin, like Dublin's a great place to live. But the customers, right? There's a handful of customers in Ireland, but it is a global product.
Yeah.
So we tend to spend a fair bit of time on the road. We're
Yeah.
trying, so we've invested quite a lot of shoe leather in London, but we're finding decent interest in our product in like the likes of Singapore and India, and we're trying to get into New York and, and continental Europe, Switzerland. There's lots of interest in what we do. We're a small team trying to do an awful lot of stuff. That's also a major, I say, challenge for us, is to find 24 hours a day.
So you were lucky enough to raise money, and that in itself, I'm sure there's a story there. But you mentioned bringing on your team. So what do you look for most of all when you're hiring those people to build your team?
Again, we have the people who we I think we kind of knew what we wanted, if you know what I mean, right? Like we didn't set out, like we knew we wanted people who could code, right? We knew we wanted whatever, right? But we didn't like write a big plan. Like we met a handful of people, we asked them, we knew that there was, lots of coders can code, but actually we got to know them personally a bit. We spent a bit of time just to get to know them, to try and figure out whether they'd fit in with us and what they actually wanted, And so the people who are working with us are all excited to be part of to be part of the team, and that sounds like, mom and apple pie, but actually they have liked the idea. They've seen the opportunity. They've seen that this is a really interesting space, an interesting,
and they bought into it,
right? And they think this is something which could grow to be quite big, and they've, and they're really interested. So like it's fantastic to be able to do that. We started off like one of our developers, worked as a contractor for us. We couldn't afford to take him on as an employee, and so I mean, this time last year, we kind of had a conversation with them saying, look, we need to raise money, right? And if we don't raise money, we're going to have to let you go, right? But we don't want to let you go, right? And we're saying, what do you want to do? And he's going, I hope you want. I said, he actually said to us, I'd really like you to succeed and raise money, and I'd like to stop being a contractor and be part of the team.
Excellent.
And,
okay.
So that was so that's been kind of the kind of people who have joined us, and other people who have come on board, and they said that, we have a developer. We've an Australian guy who lives in France, right, who is our back-end developer. And I told him at the very start what I wanted to achieve, right, which was, and again, being naive markets guy, setting up a tech business like at this age, never. I kind of wanted to build a subscription business. I wanted to, make me something which I could sell subscriptions, right?
Yeah.
Which is a bit like telling somebody to like, go and build me a house. And he kind of said, I'm not building you the house until we build the foundations.
Yeah, you got to have the
And
foundations.
effectively, he kind of overrode my naivety, and largely due to him is where we've got to today, right? So he put in the foundation. So now we have a huge, big data capable database, and been able to do all of the back testing and the science work. So in terms of our journey, what I just wanted in the first, when you got from friends and family, I thought, raise a bit of money, get out there with, make a product and sell it, right? And the journey involved realizing that everything takes twice as long, costs at least twice as much. But if you got some smart people around you, you end up being in a significantly better place, albeit, a place now where we can go very fast. It's like, so in the history of where I think looking back in 10 years' time, hopefully, we'll look back at what every day seemed like a million years long, right, at the start, because we were so ambitious to get to market and so kind of frustrated that the technology took so long to build.
So where do you see the business now, Liam, in the next 5 to 10 years?
That is kind of like a billion-dollar question, and I'm saying this only half facetiously, right? Because we are in an extraordinary position where two institutions have actually, so like this morning we're meeting with a UK regulated institution who are looking to launch a hedge fund specifically to trade the quantmatics signals. And there's a separate fund and a large blue chip bulge bracket bank met us yesterday, and they want to trade the signal. So the only reason that these guys are interested in us is because we have the trust factor driven by the data science team, driven by the guy who built the product in the first place.
And it's new. It's not built off legacy, which the banks are still trading under. Yeah.
So it is brand new. I mean, in a way, some of the guys that we were, you know, so our proposition is that this allows you with one tool screen the entire world, right?
Wow.
You know, so we cover, I said, just about every actively traded instrument in every marketplace around the world. We pay for high quality data. We have licenses with every stock exchange. That again, we didn't know we'd have to do when we set up the business at the start, right? But it's put us in a position, and now, as I said, so we've got all the data, we have this all running in the cloud. So what kind of gives us a moat around our business is the fact that, you know, even the big hedge funds that we talk to, guys kind of go and think, I sort of think I know what you're trying to do. Maybe I could recreate that myself. And I'm going, but you
Best
have,
of luck.
but you have a platform,
Yeah.
that can calculate the numbers in 10,000 instruments. And frankly, there's 12.5 million combinations
Oh,
for every single score that we have every day for every instrument.
yeah.
Right? So there's no way a human can do the stuff that we could do. And it's
Well,
about doing it in a user-friendly format so that you can see the market, see the opportunities, you know.
so a lot of pluses there. Well, I wish you the very best with the business. So just a couple of personal questions if I could ask you then.
Yeah.
What, now that you're running a business on your own, per se, rather than kind of working with other, you know, I know you got partners in this, but what have you learned most about yourself?
I suppose I've always known I've got loads of energy and I'm pretty resilient. But and it is about having to draw on that resilience and actually almost like faking it insofar as in order to drag the business along, you have to have a goal. All right. Again, that sounds like bullshit, but you know, you have
No,
to
no, by the way, look, that's this. I'm a coach. I talk with this all the time.
but you have to have a goal and a dream, and you've got to be able to sell it and communicate it. And if you show fear, even if you are absolutely fearful yourself, you know, so I think about this 24 hours a day. I have sleepless nights, whatever, but I can't afford for my wife to think that I'm afraid. I can't afford for the people who work with me to think that I'm afraid, right? You know,
Absolutely.
I've got to be the guy who comes in. So if I get frustrated, everybody gets nervous. So I realize, you know, I've got to be the guy out there kind of like leading, but also to trust other people, you know, and that's the most fascinating bit for me. I was thinking about this as I was like cycling along this morning, going, we've got some pretty say alpha personality people, and I'm not like, but just strong, independent people. They're not afraid to tell me what they think. They're not afraid to tell me I'm wrong. And you know,
Good.
and there are times where you're sitting there going, right, this was my baby, but actually there's guys driving this in all sorts of directions, doing stuff that I'm not.
You can't do it all yourself.
Driving
Can't
things
do,
like
yeah.
watching it all, you know, it's like
You-
our COO has become one of our best salespeople, you know, like he just decided that's what he's going to
That's
do.
the role.
Yeah.
Liam Boggan, it's been tremendous to talk to you. I could talk to you all day about this. It's fantastic. I wish you every success in the near future. I hope we can catch up again in a few years' time. So for everybody listening, you want to have a look at this, go to Quantmatix. That's QUANTMATIX.com.
Yeah.
Liam, many thanks indeed.
Thank you very much, Tom, for your time and your interest.